The deep space sensor station called Relay 9 floated alone near the far edge of human space. It was a quiet place, a forgotten outpost where nothing ever happened. Most days, the crew joked that they lived farther from danger than anyone else in the galaxy. But on this day, everything changed. And the crew of Relay 9 became the first humans to face the beginning of something dark, something far bigger than they could understand. Lieutenant Mara Vance sat at her console, bored and half asleep. She tapped the screen again and again, watching the same empty starfield she had seen for months. Her partner, Technician Hale, floated nearby in zero gravity, spinning a pen between his fingers. Their commander, Captain Rourke, read an old tablet in his office, not expecting anything important. Then the alarm blared. It started as a soft beep, then a rising tone, then a sharp, urgent scream. Mara jerked upright. Hale dropped his pen. Red lights flashed around the room. Unknown mass detected, the computer said in a cold voice. Sector 47E, Mara whispered. That zone should be empty. She zoomed the display in, then froze. A shadow filled the screen. Not one ship. Not two. Many. At first it looked like dust, like noise in the sensors. But the shapes grew clearer. Hundreds. Then thousands. A fleet so large it looked like a black storm rolling through the stars. Hale, call the captain, Mara said, her voice shaking. Captain Rourke rushed in within seconds, hair still messy, eyes sharp. Report. Mara swallowed hard. Sir, we have a major contact. Maybe the biggest contact in human history. Rourke leaned over her shoulder. When he saw the display, all color drained from his face. The fleet moved with perfect order, tight formation stretching across half the screen. No human fleet was this large. No human fleet moved like this. These ships were huge, sharp-edged, and silent. Not a single transmission. Not a single signal. Only motion. Are we receiving any ID tags? Transponders? Rourke asked. None, Mara said. No engine signatures that match known species, Hale added. This is something new. The ships advanced without changing speed. Without turning. Without blinking. Power up long-range scanners. I want full detail, Rourke commanded. Mara tapped the controls. The system hummed as it tried to scan the unknown fleet. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Then all the lights dimmed. The station shook slightly. The scanner readings went white. Captain. I think they scanned us back, Mara said. Rourke's jaw tightened. At that range? That fast? Nobody answered. They all felt it, the heavy feeling of being seen. A message window blinked on the screen. Automatic distress channel ready. Send it, Rourke said. Mara hit the button. A data packet rushed toward Earth, images of the fleet, location, speed, formation, and a final urgent line. Unknown megafleet entering human space. Request immediate response. The station returned to silence. The fleet kept moving, slow and steady, like a wave that no one could stop. Hale spoke in a small voice. Sir, if they want to talk, why stay silent? Rourke didn't answer. He only stared at the screen, his hands tight behind his back. Then Mara noticed something strange. Captain. I'm zooming in on the lead ships. She enlarged one of the massive ships. Dark plates overlapped its hull like armor. Spikes or towers rose from its surface. Then she zoomed further. Strange energy fields flickered like lightning under its skin. But the weirdest part was not the ship. It was what it was doing. Scanning pattern detected, Mara said. They're doing a deep scan of the star lane ahead. That's not normal, Rourke said. Unless, they're looking for something. Or running from something, Hale murmured. The room felt colder. None of them wanted to imagine what could chase a fleet like this. Suddenly, the sensor display flickered. Static filled the screens. One by one, systems died. Lights went out. Air fans stopped. Gravity cut off, and the crew began floating. EMP strike. Rourke shouted. They hit us with a pulse. Emergency lights came on, dim and red. Mara fought to reboot her console. Hale kicked off a wall to reach the backup panel. The station groaned like metal under pressure. Life support is stable, Hale said. But our comms are down. We can't talk to Earth. We already sent the warning, Rourke said. Let's pray it got through. Mara stared at the dark screen, waiting for it to return. Seconds dragged by like hours. Then the screen blinked back on, but only for a moment. This time, the fleet was closer. Much closer. What? How? Mara whispered. They sped up, Rourke said. Or they warped forward. Either way, they're almost on top of us. The massive ships now filled the display. Their hulls glowed with strange symbols. The darkness around them bent slightly, like gravity itself was shifting. A deep rumble passed through the station. A sound like thunder from outside. It's their engines, Hale said. They're passing right by us. The fleet moved around Relay 9 like it was nothing. Like it wasn't even worth destroying. Like humans were ants on the side of the road. They don't see us as a threat, Mara said softly. Or as anything at all, Rourke added. One last ship passed, a giant one, bigger than the rest. Its silhouette spread across the entire screen. Strange lights pulsed from inside, dim and slow, like the heartbeat of a beast. Then the screen went black. Completely black. Captain, the station's main core is shutting down, Hale said. Rourke closed his eyes for 1 second, then opened them with grim calm. Prepare escape pods. The station won't last. But Mara was not looking at her captain anymore. She stared at the dead screen, her heart pounding. Because in the final second before everything went dark, she thought she saw something inside that last ship. Not machinery. Not weapons. Something alive. Something huge. Something watching them back. And she understood one thing. This fleet was not here to talk. It was not here to explore. It was not even here to conquer. It was here to end something. And humanity might be next. Admiral Rhea Calder stood inside the command hall of Earth's Defense Center, watching the giant hologram of the unknown fleet. The dark shapes moved across the map like a storm of metal blades. Every few seconds, new fragments of data appeared, pieces from the last message sent by Relay 9 before it went silent. The room buzzed with fear. Officers whispered to each other. Some stared blankly at the hologram, their hands shaking. Everyone felt the same heavy truth: this enemy was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Calder, however, remained calm. She had faced impossible odds before. She had led the First Titan War. She had saved 2 colonies from complete destruction. She had retired only because there were no more battles left to fight. Now there was one. A young officer approached her. Admiral, message from the Council. They want your decision. Calder nodded and stepped forward. She pressed a button on her wrist console. A small circle lit up, recording her answer. Admiral Calder speaking. I accept command of the defense fleet. Prepare for immediate mobilization. Her voice was steady, but inside she felt a pressure she had not felt in years. This enemy fleet was massive, organized, and silent. No signals. No demands. No warnings. Only movement. And it was headed straight for human space. Within hours, Calder boarded the flagship Horizon Spear, a powerful warship with thick armor and long-range cannons. The crew greeted her with nervous respect. Many had heard her legends, how she once held a line with only 5 ships, how she risked her life to save civilians during a colony evacuation. Now she was back. Calder walked to the bridge. The large curved windows showed Earth far below, blue oceans, white clouds, a peaceful world unaware of the danger creeping closer. Status report, she said. Captain Idris, her second-in-command, replied, Fleets Alpha, Beta, and Gamma are assembling near the Mars defense ring. Civilian cargo ships have been converted into support craft. The shipyards are pushing every reactor and engine to maximum output. And volunteers? Calder asked. Idris sighed softly. Admiral, we have too many. People are lining up in thousands. Retired pilots. Colony farmers. Even students. Calder nodded. Humanity always rose when the universe pushed it down. It was their greatest strength. Send a message to all units, she said. I want every ship, old or new, standing by in 20 hours. The next day, the Last Human Armada began to form. Hundreds of ships emerged from jump gates. Old gunships from the early wars, sleek new cruisers with glowing blue engines, massive carriers shaped like flying fortresses. Even mining barges had been fitted with heavy armor and rail cannons. They lined up across the void in long rows, like a wall of steel stretching from planet to planet. Calder watched them appear on the holomap, her eyes sharp. This is everything we have, Idris said quietly. Every engine that can fly, every cannon that can fire. But Calder shook her head. It's not enough yet. Admiral, we can't build more. Not in time. We won't build more, she replied. We'll fight smarter. She opened a secure channel to the science division. This is Admiral Calder. I'm activating black-level projects. All of them. There was silence on the line, then a voice spoke. Admiral, those projects are unstable. Some are untested. Calder answered without hesitation. If that fleet reaches Earth, it won't matter what is stable. Start the transfer. I want stealth screens, gravity mines, and prototype jump-skip drives ready. The scientists hesitated, then agreed. Idris looked at her, half impressed, half concerned. You're bringing out the forbidden tech. We don't have the luxury to play safe, Calder said. Humanity must use everything. Across human space, training accelerated. On the carriers, new pilots practiced formation flying. Their small fighters darted through metal tunnels, weaving and spinning. Gunnery teams drilled until their hands bled. Engineers worked through the night, welding armor and installing upgraded shields. Even civilian volunteers trained with determination. Many had never seen battle, but they pushed themselves with a hunger to protect their families. Calder visited the troops often. She walked among the engineers, helped young pilots steady their nerves, and listened to the fears of old veterans. She did not give long speeches. She did not promise victory. She only said one line. We stand together. That is how humanity wins. As the final ships arrived, the holomap updated with new information. The unknown fleet had changed direction. It was no longer just entering human space. It was heading directly toward the Mars defense ring. They're targeting our mustering point, Idris said. They know we're preparing. Calder studied the data. The enemy fleet moved with perfect coordination, fast, efficient, unstoppable. But something strange stood out. Their outer formations are too tight, Calder said softly. They're not spreading for battle. They're traveling like they're escaping. Escaping? Idris frowned. From what? I don't know, Calder said, but we'll find out. She turned toward the bridge crew. Signal the entire armada. Begin final checks. Prepare for jump. A wave of orders spread across the fleet. Engines glowed brighter. Shields activated. Cannon barrels aligned. Fighters locked into launch bays. Humanity was ready, at least, as ready as they could be. Idris approached her quietly. Admiral, do you truly believe we can win? Against something like this? Calder looked out toward the stars. Yes, she said. Not because we're stronger. Not because we're smarter. Then why? Idris asked. Because humanity fights hardest when we are supposed to lose. She faced forward, voice calm but full of steel. And because we are not fighting alone. Every human heart, every memory, every future dream stands behind us. That kind of force can move worlds. The bridge fell silent. Every crew member listened. Calder raised her hand. Jumped the Armada. In a burst of blinding blue light, the entire fleet vanished from Earth's orbit, thousands of ships tearing through space, leaving trails of energy behind. They were heading toward Mars. Toward the unknown enemy. Toward the battle that would decide the future of the human race. And as the stars stretched into long white lines, Admiral Rhea Calder whispered something only to herself. Let them come. Humanity does not run. The last human armada was on the move. The last human armada dropped out of jump near the Mars defense ring. Rows of metal platforms and shield generators floated around the red planet like bright guardians. Human ships took positions in tight formations. Carriers opened their launch bays. Cruisers locked their rail cannons toward open space. The mood was tense, but steady. Every person on every ship knew what was coming. Admiral Rhea Calder stood at the center of the flagship bridge, watching the hologram spin and shift. The enemy fleet was still distant, but moving fast. Too fast. Captain Idris read the updates with a stiff voice. Enemy formation accelerating. ETA now 4 hours. Calder narrowed her eyes. Adjust all units. Prepare early shield charges. Launch drones for outer perimeter. Yes, Admiral. Meanwhile, in the far reaches of space, the alien fleet approached like a silent storm. Thousands of dark ships glided in perfect lines. No signals. No warnings. Only the cold glow of their engines. Human drones reached the enemy first. The moment the drones entered scanning range, they vanished. No flashes. No explosions. Just gone. As if something wiped them out without touching them. A whisper spread through the human fleet. They erase anything that looks at them. Hours later, the first alien ships appeared on visual screens. Huge. Sharp. Black. Their hulls seemed to drink in light. Some ships were shaped like blades, others like heavy pyramids. Strange glowing veins pulsed across their sides, green, red, blue, unknown energy patterns. Captain Idris whispered, "By all stars." Calder remained still. Hold positions. Suddenly, flash. A beam of white-green energy burst from an alien warship. It tore through 3 human fighters instantly. A second beam followed, cutting across a shield platform and sending it spinning into space. The war had begun. Return fire. Calder commanded. Human cruisers launched a wall of missiles. Rail cannons fired glowing blue rounds. Energy beams shot across the void. Fighters swarmed forward like metal insects, breaking into attack wings. The battlefield turned into a storm of light and fire. Missiles exploded across alien shields. Rail rounds punched into dark hulls. For the first time, the alien ships reacted, turning, shifting, forming new lines. But then humanity saw something terrifying. The aliens were not just strong. They were adapting. They're recalibrating their shields to our railguns. Idris shouted. And redirecting energy against missile swarms, added the chief engineer. Calder clenched her jaw. Then change patterns. Rotate weapon types. Keep them guessing. Human ships switched tactics. Fighters spiraled around alien vessels, firing EMP bursts. Heavy cruisers launched new torpedoes, once powered by black-level unstable cores. The aliens staggered. One ship split in half from a torpedo detonation. Another lost its shields and was riddled by fighters. The crew cheered. But the moment of hope vanished fast. Because a second wave appeared behind the first. Bigger. Heavier armored. Moving faster. There is no end to them, Idris whispered. A massive alien dreadnought fired a beam so wide it tore through an entire human squadron. The shockwave shook even the Horizon spear. Calder steadied herself. Push the right flank. Overload the left. Keep their core ships locked in the center. Humanity fought with everything they had. Fighters dived between giant ships. Bombers slipped under shields to plant charges. Destroyers rammed alien cruisers at full speed, sacrificing themselves to protect carriers. It was chaos. It was courage. It was fear mixed with fire. But slowly, too slowly, the humans were being pushed back. A calm warning alarm echoed through the flagship. "Admiral, we're losing the Gamma line," Idris said. "We can't keep them out much longer." Calder stared at the map. She saw human formations bending, breaking, falling. But she also saw something else. The alien fleet, while strong, left its rear guard thin. They were too confident. Too sure they were winning. "Order the Shadow Wing to flank behind the enemy," Calder said. Idris looked shocked. "Shadow Wing? Admiral, that's a prototype squadron. They've only trained with the experimental jump-skip drives for a week." "I know," Calder replied calmly. "But if they can jump behind the enemy and hit their command vessels, we can slow their advance." Idris nodded, though his face showed fear for the pilots. In the hangar bay, Shadow Wing pilots activated their small, sleek fighters. The jump-skip drives hummed with dangerous energy. Pilots knew the devices were unstable. Some who tested them got lost in space forever. But they also knew humanity needed them. "Shadow Wing, execute jump-skip," Calder ordered. A burst of blue-white light appeared behind the alien fleet. Shadow Wing emerged, missing 2 fighters, but alive. They fired immediately, striking the enemy rear guard. Alien formations broke for the first time. "Good!" Calder shouted. "All ships, push forward." Human morale surged. They advanced again, slamming into the enemy lines, forcing them back inch by inch. But just when victory seemed possible, a massive object drifted into view. The alien command ship. A colossal structure, shaped like a black diamond with long, branching arms. Energy ran along its surface like glowing rivers. Its size dwarfed every ship on both sides. Idris breathed, that thing is a moving continent." The command ship pulsed with energy. A deep rumble echoed through the void, felt even inside human ships. Then, boom! A shockwave slammed through the battlefield. Human and alien ships alike were thrown off course. Fighters spun out of control. Even the Horizon spear shook as though hit by a planet. "Damage report," Calder shouted. "Shields at 40%. Drones offline. Weapons overheating." The command ship fired again. This time, the beam smashed through the center of the human armada, cutting ships in half like paper. Calder stared at the horror before her. This was not a battle. This was a test. A warning. A demonstration of power. And yet, even in the face of that terror, humanity held the line. They kept firing. Kept pushing. Kept fighting. Then, something unexpected happened. One alien cruiser, badly damaged, drifted off course. Human boarding teams seized the opportunity and latched onto it. They stormed inside, fought through strange metal corridors, and captured the entire ship. A single ship. But inside it, humanity found a clue. A clue that would change everything. A clue that said, the aliens were not here to conquer. They were running from something far worse. The captured alien cruiser drifted next to the human flagship like a wounded beast. Smoke leaked from its cracks. Strange green lights flickered along its broken hull. Human marines in heavy armor guarded the airlocks while engineers forced open the sealed doors with plasma cutters. Inside the cruiser, the air was cold and metallic. The walls were smooth and black, covered with symbols that glowed faintly like living veins. The marines moved carefully, weapons raised. Every hallway felt wrong, too quiet, too clean, too empty. Admiral Rhea Calder watched from the command room of the Horizon Sphere. A large screen showed the helmet cameras of the boarding team. She stood straight, her voice steady, but inside she felt a strange tension. This ship carried answers. Answers they desperately needed. "Marine Team 1, she said. "Proceed to the bridge. Recover anything you can." "Yes, Admiral," the team leader replied. The Marines walked deeper inside. Their boots echoed loudly, as if the ship itself listened. In the science lab of the flagship, Dr. Giannis, a soft-spoken but brilliant scientist, prepared his tools. Screens lit up around him, showing alien codes, shapes, and unknown machines taken from the cruiser. Calder stepped into the lab. "Doctor," she said, "what have you found so far?" Giannis rubbed his tired eyes. "Nothing simple. Their tech is unlike anything we have ever studied. It is old, Admiral. Very old. Maybe thousands of years ahead of us." Calder nodded. "Then keep digging. We need to know why they're here." Before Giannis could answer, a loud beep sounded. "Admiral!" Idris called from the bridge. The Marines found the alien central data core. Calder rushed back to the main screens. The Marines entered a circular chamber. In the center floated a large sphere made of layers of shifting light. The sphere pulsed slowly, like it had a heartbeat. The Marines aimed their guns instinctively. The team leader spoke, "Admiral, it looks like an information node." "A brain." "Copy the data," Calder ordered. "Do not damage it." As the Marines set up the data extraction tools, the sphere changed color, from blue to red. Then it spoke. Not in words. Not in sound. But in a deep vibration that all Marines felt in their bones. "Admiral," the team leader whispered. "I think it knows we're here." The sphere emitted a final pulse, then went dim. "Data core neutralized," Giannis said. "But we captured about 20% of its memory before shutdown." "Is it usable?" Calder asked. "Yes," he said. "But the files, they are strange." "Show me," Calder ordered. Back in the science lab, the lights dimmed and a large hologram appeared. Alien symbols moved across the air like smoke. Giannis translated the first part using machines. "It seems this species calls itself the Vharax Dominion," he said. "They spread through the galaxy for thousands of years. Their rule is strict. They destroy young races before they grow strong. So they want to wipe us out," Idris said. Giannis shook his head. "Not exactly. Look at this." He opened a new series of files. A giant map appeared, showing hundreds of star systems. Many had red marks, destroyed civilizations. But on the far edge of the map was a different symbol. Something massive. Something moving. A dark sphere, larger than any drawing on the map. "What is that?" Calder asked. Giannis swallowed. "We don't know. The Vharax files call it the Devourer of Suns." Idris stepped back. "That sounds like a myth." "It is not a myth to them," Giannis said. His voice shook slightly. "The Vharax fear this thing. Deeply." A silence fell. Calder stared at the map. The alien megafleet was fleeing. Running from the dark sphere. It moved across the galaxy like a spreading shadow. "So the Vharax are not attacking us because we are a threat," Calder said slowly. "They are attacking us because they want to eliminate us before the Devourer reaches this region." Giannis nodded. "If humans survive, we could become competition later. Or we might interfere with their escape path." Calder clenched her fists. "They want to erase us simply to make their running easier." Idris looked sick. "They're killing billions, because we're inconvenient." More files opened. Images of burned planets. Broken moons. Whole systems turned to dust. The Devourer left nothing alive. Nothing but silence. Calder looked away for a moment. The weight was heavy. Then Giannis found something else. "Admiral, this part, you must see." A hollow video played. It showed Vharax ships firing at something huge in the dark. Beams of light hit a floating, shapeless mass, a swirling cloud of black and purple energy, crackling with lightning. The Devourer. It absorbed everything. Weapons, ships, energy, it swallowed them like vapor. Then it released a shockwave that ripped apart the Vharax fleet. The humans in the room felt cold. "This enemy is not like the Vharax," Giannis said. "It is something else. Something ancient. Something hungry." Calder inhaled slowly. "So the Vharax came to us not as conquerors, but as desperate survivors." Idris frowned. "But if they are afraid, why attack us?" "Because they see us as a threat that might weaken them further," Calder replied. "In their logic, we are an obstacle. Something to remove." The room went quiet. "Admiral," Giannis said softly, "the files show something more. The Vharax studied our worlds long ago. They knew humanity was growing fast. They believed we might one day rise strong enough to challenge them." Calder's eyes narrowed. "So they decided to strike early." "Yes," Giannis said. "Before the Devourer catches up. Before we can grow." Calder stepped closer to the hologram of the dark sphere. "That thing is coming," she said. "And it is worse than anything we have seen." Idris nodded. "If the Vharax cannot stop it, can we?" Calder looked at her fleet on the holomap. Human ships. Human courage. Human stubbornness. "Maybe," she said. "If we understand our enemy. If we use what we've learned. And if we survive the Vharax first," Idris added quietly. Calder turned away from the dark hologram. "Prepare the Armada," she said. "We cannot run from the Vharax. And we cannot hide from the Devourer." Her voice grew strong. "But humanity does not break. We will rise. We will adapt. And we will face whatever is coming." As the alarms echoed through the fleet, every soldier felt the same chilling truth. The Vharax were not the real war. They were only the beginning. The news spread across the human armada like fire. The Vharax were not hunting humanity, they were running for their lives. And behind them came something far worse, the Devourer of Suns. Fear touched every ship. Every soldier. Every pilot. But fear was not new to humanity. And it had never stopped them before. Admiral Rhea Calder stood on the bridge of the Horizon Spear, her eyes fixed on the glowing holomap. The human fleet looked small against the massive Vharax swarm. But Calder saw something else, openings, weaknesses, and mistakes the Vharax didn't know humans could exploit. Idris approached her quietly. "Admiral, the Council wants to retreat." Calder did not turn. "Of course they do. They want us to fall back to the inner colonies. Regroup. Hide." Calder finally looked at him. "We can't hide. The Vharax will destroy every world along the way, and the Devourer will swallow whatever is left. The only path is forward." Idris nodded. "I trust you, Admiral. But do the others?" Calder stepped onto the command platform and opened a fleet-wide broadcast. "All ships, this is Admiral Calder speaking." Thousands of crew members stopped what they were doing. Pilots paused in their cockpits. Engineers froze mid-task. Civilians on support ships leaned closer to speakers. "We now know the truth," she said. "The Vharax are afraid. And when the mighty fear something, you must understand what that means. We are stronger than they expected. They want to break us before we rise. Before we grow. Before we show the universe what humanity can become." Her voice deepened, sharp with fire. "We will not be broken. We will not kneel. Humanity stands together. And when we stand together, we are unstoppable." The bridge erupted in cheers. Across the Armada, crews shouted in reply. Even tired engineers felt their strength return. Calder lowered her voice. Prepare for the upgrade protocol. We begin now. Deep within the flagship, the Black Level project rooms opened. Scientists rushed out crates, devices, and strange glowing cores. The secret tech humanity had hidden for years was finally unleashed. Dr. Giannis met Calder in the main engineering bay. "Admiral, these devices were never meant to be used on such a scale," he warned. "They could overload reactors." They could. "They could also save us," Calder replied. "Begin installation." Giannis nodded and gave orders. Technicians installed quantum phase shields on cruisers, enabling them to flicker out of enemy targeting for split seconds. Carriers received anti-gravity launch bays, allowing fighters to fire out at impossible angles. Destroyers were fitted with gravity well mines, weapons that could twist space and trap enemy ships. And at the heart of the Horizon Spear, engineers fused human reactor tech with stolen Vharax energy modules, creating a hybrid engine that hummed with dangerous power. Idris watched the glowing core. "If this explodes, we vanish instantly." Calder smirked. "Then let's make sure it explodes near the enemy." While engineers worked, pilots trained harder than ever. Fighter wings flew in tight formations through asteroid fields. Bomber crews practiced rapid dives into narrow spaces. Shadow Wing, still shaken from their experimental jump-skip attack, drilled until their muscles screamed. One young pilot approached Calder during inspection. Her voice trembled slightly. "Admiral, can we really stop them?" Calder placed a hand on her shoulder. "We don't need to stop all of them. We only need to break their spirit. Once they fear us, the game changes." "But they don't fear anything," the pilot whispered. Calder looked at the distant stars. "They fear the Devourer. And anything that can stand against it, they fear twice as much." Days passed. The Vharax regrouped for a final assault, gathering near a dying star, a red giant swirling with violent energy. They believed the unstable space would trap and weaken the human fleet. They were wrong. Calder chose this place on purpose. The Horizon Spear arrived first, then the rest of the Armada. Human ships spread across the system, shining with new upgrades, engines glowing brighter than ever before. Idris stared at the view. "They outnumber us 3-1. Then we'll destroy 3 ships for every one of ours that falls," Calder replied calmly. "But Admiral, we cannot retreat. If we run now, we doom every world behind us. Today, we show the Vharax what humanity truly is." The Vharax moved first, launching a wave of heavy bombardment. Their beams sliced through space, lighting the void with burning green arcs. Calder waited. "Hold," she ordered. Human ships shook under the first hits. "Hold." The second wave came, stronger. "Hold." Idris clenched his fists. "Admiral, they'll break the line." "Not yet," Calder said. Then she saw what she waited for, a slight gap forming in the enemy vanguard. "Now," she shouted. "Phase shield advance." Human cruisers flickered as their new shields activated. The alien beams passed through empty air as the cruisers shifted in and out of phase. Human fighters launched in a swarm, their anti-gravity bays firing them out like exploding stars. Bombers dropped gravity well mines directly into the Vharax formations. The mines triggered, twisting space, crushing several alien cruisers at once. The Vharax panicked. For the first time, they lost their perfect formation. Their lines broke. Their ships hesitated. Calder saw her opening. "All ships, full charge. For humanity." The human armada surged forward like a tidal wave of steel and fire. Fighters ripped through alien wings. Cruisers rammed enemy ships head-on, using new armor to cut deep into their hulls. Carriers launched drones in the thousands, overwhelming the Vharax with sheer numbers. The enemy fleet faltered. Their command channels filled with static and confusion. Their rear formations collapsed under Shadow Wing's jump-skip strikes. Idris stared in disbelief. "Admiral, they're falling back. They're actually scared." Calder allowed herself one small, fierce smile. Good, she said. Because the unstoppable part begins now. The Horizon's spear pierced through the center of the battlefield, heading straight toward the Vharax command ship, the giant one that controlled their entire fleet. The Vharax tried to stop them. Massive beams fired at the spear. The hybrid shields flickered, screamed, held, and pushed through. Calder stood tall. This ends when their command falls. The human fleet followed her lead, breaking deeper into enemy space, burning bright with courage, fury, and impossible strength. The Vharax had expected humanity to break. Instead, they had awoken something dangerous. Something ancient inside every human heart. Something that refused to kneel. Humanity had become unstoppable. The battlefield around the dying star looked like the end of all things. Broken ships floated like metal bones. Flames glowed inside shattered hulls. The giant red star pulsed, throwing waves of heat and light across the void. Space twisted and bent near its surface, creating whirlpools of gravity strong enough to tear ships apart. And at the center of this chaos stood the Vharax command ship, a dark giant shaped like a twisted diamond, pulsing with red energy. Admiral Rhea Calder's flagship, the Horizon Spear, moved toward it like an arrow shot from a burning bow. Captain Idris stood beside her. "Admiral, their shields are unstable. We have a window." Calder nodded. "Then we take it. All ships, prepare final assault. This is the moment that decides everything." A wave of human voices replied across the radio. "Copy, Admiral. We're with you. For Earth." The human fleet pushed forward once more. The Vharax forces panicked. Their lines broke, their formations collapsed. Ships tried to pull back, but gravity from the dying star dragged them closer. Some spiraled into burning arcs, exploding before they even reached the outer edge. The Horizon's spear shook violently as a Vharax beam struck it from below. "Shields at 25%, shouted the engineer. Calder gripped the rail. The bridge lights flickered. Idris looked at her. "We can't take many more hits, Admiral." Calder kept her eyes on the enemy. "We don't need many more. Just one clear path." A human destroyer saw the danger and moved into position. Its captain, an old veteran with a cracked voice, made a final call. "Spear, get behind me. We'll shield you." Calder's eyes softened. "Destroyer 12, that maneuver will kill you." The captain laughed. "I lived long enough. Tell Earth I died doing something useful." The destroyer charged forward. Vharax beams hit it from all sides, melting armor, cracking hull plates, but the ship held long enough to block the shots aimed at the Horizon Spear. Then the destroyer exploded in a brilliant white flash. The debris drifted away like falling ashes. Calder whispered, "Your sacrifice will be remembered." Shadow Wing appeared next, jumping out of subspace behind the Vharax rear guard. Their experimental jump-skip drives glowed white-hot, nearly overloading. But they didn't stop. They fired everything they had: torpedoes, plasma bursts, EMP pulses. Enemy backline collapsing. Idris shouted. Across the field, bombers dropped their last gravity well mines. The mines detonated, twisting space and slamming Vharax ships together like crashing stones. Human cruisers surged forward. Fighters cut through alien wings. Carriers launched the final drone wave. The Vharax realized the truth. They were losing. Their last defense was failing. Humanity could not be stopped. Calder's fleet reached the outer hull of the command ship. Its surface glowed with red and black energy. Strange symbols pulsed across it, alive and moving. The command ship unleashed its final weapon. A massive beam the width of a city. "Brace!" Idris shouted. The Horizon Spear lurched sideways. Energy surged through it. Alarms screamed like dying animals. The shields dropped to 5%. Some panels exploded. 2 crew members were thrown across the bridge. Smoke filled the air. Calder grabbed Idris before he fell. "Hold the line." The spear steadied. Engines burned white-hot as the ship forced itself forward. "Target the central core," Calder ordered. "All weapons." Every gun, cannon, missile, and beam on the spear fired at once. Light flooded the battlefield. The Vharax command ship trembled under the impact. Cracks forming, the engineer shouted. "We're breaking through. One more hit. Just one more. Hybrid core to maximum power," Calder ordered. The ship shuddered violently. The experimental human Vharax reactor glowed bright enough to blind. Fire! A final blast erupted from the spear, striking the command ship's core dead center. For one silent moment, nothing happened. Then, boom! A shockwave tore the giant vessel apart. Light exploded outward in a ring of fire. Vharax ships lost their connection. Their command network died instantly. The alien fleet froze. Then the chain reaction began, ships drifting, engines flickering, weapons shutting down. Across the battlefield, human crews watched in disbelief. "They're surrendering," Idris whispered. They stopped fighting. The unstoppable Vharax Dominion had fallen. But even in victory, a deep silence filled the bridge. Because everyone knew what came next. The Devourer. The thing that chased the Vharax across galaxies. The thing so terrible that even powerful conquerors fled from it. Calder stared at the empty starfield beyond the battle. Far away, past millions of kilometers, a faint darkness pulsed. A shadow eating the light of distant stars. It was coming. Idris saw it too. "Admiral, if even the Vharax couldn't stop it, what chance do we have?" Calder took a long breath. "More than they did," she said. "Because we are not like them." She turned to her crew. "The Vharax ran. But humans? Humans rise. We learn. We adapt. We fight until the last spark." Her voice grew stronger. "And we just proved that even the strongest enemy can fall. If we stand together, the Devourer will face something it has never met." "What is that?" Idris asked softly. Calder looked at him, eyes blazing. "Humanity." Later, Calder sent a message to every ship. "All units, begin rescue operations. Recover survivors, human and Vharax. Gather remains. Rebuild what we can. We prepare not for escape, but for the next war." In the distance, the dying star shed its last burst of light, painting the battlefield in golden fire. Human fighters circled back. Engineers cheered. Medics rushed to help the wounded. The war with the Vharax was over. But the story of humanity was not ending. It was only beginning. On the bridge of the Horizon Spear, Calder stood alone for a moment, watching the stars. She whispered to herself. "If the Devourer is coming, then let it come. It will learn what the Vharax learned today." She touched the control rail gently. "It will learn what every enemy learns." Her voice hardened into steel. Humanity does not break. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity becomes unstoppable. And under the dying star's final glow, the fleet stood ready. Not afraid. Not defeated. But rising toward whatever future waited beyond the darkness.